down if you're interested in finding out more about tongue diagnosis. And you can go to sacredlotus.com or eagleherbs.com. And there's a lot of information on those websites on tongue diagnosis. So very interesting. I want to get more into the organs that are involved. So, we've got our senses that as soon as we smell a particular thing, food, it starts to release and then the gallbladder and the pancreas get prepared for releasing enzymes and anticipating that the food is coming. The other thing I want to mention here while I'm thinking about it is chewing gum. With chewing gum, what that does is it's constantly tricking the stomach. And this is a way that we can get into a problem if you have a habit of chewing gum all the time, and this is something that you do every day and you've done it for years, and you're experiencing stomach problems. The reason you're experiencing stomach problems is you're burning the stomach out. As you chew that gum, it tells the stomach that something is going to come down into the stomach, and it starts producing all this hydrochloric acid, but nothing comes. And I don't know, I can't chew gum for very long. It starts to make me sick to my stomach. And what happens that's starting to get sick to your stomach is all that hydrochloric acid that's secreted that's down there in the bottom of your stomach. And, it's just waiting for food to come down, and it doesn't come down. And so, you kind of make the comment about, my stomach almost feels like it's going to digest itself. And, that's what happens when you start producing way too much hydrochloric acid. So the organs that are involved with the digestive tract is, so we said sensory, and then the tongue and the mouth. The pharynx and the esophagus, the small intestines, stomach, and then the digestive organs that aid the stomach and the small intestine is the pancreas, liver, and the gallbladder. So we go through some things that will help to bring those into balance, and I just kind of want to go through and talk here about the gastrointestinal tract and the different areas of it. In the average American, or the average adult, the male gastrointestinal tract, or the GI tract, it's about 20 feet long, and it consists of the upper and the lower GI tract. So the upper gastrointestinal tract consists of the esophagus, the stomach, and the duodenum. The lower gastrointestinal tract includes the rest of the small intestines after the duodenum and all of the large intestine. The purpose of this gastrointestinal tract is to digest the food and assimilate the nutrients from it, and then by releasing the enzymes to break that food down. So the GI tract also releases hormones that help with regulating the digestive tract, because the digestive process, because the regulation of how quickly things go through the intestinal tract is all determined by the stomach. The hormones that are included is gastrin and about 5 other different hormones. So the human body, we've got to have quality nutrients in order for the body to function. Each cell has to be bathed in fluid containing amino acids and sugars, fatty acids, and vitamins and minerals to carry out everything that it needs to do to function. The foods that you decide to eat and consume are going to dictate how healthy your digestive tract is, and how well you are, how well. And more body can't utilize these nutrients in their whole form, so they need to be broken down. And that's where all of the enzymes come in, on getting this food broken down and into small enough particles to be absorbed into the bloodstream that then are transported and carried to every cell in the body. In this process of digestion, the proteins are broken down into amino acids, and then carbohydrates are broken down to starches and complex sugars. They're broken down into simple sugars. Fats are broken down into fatty acids and glycerin. Fat-soluble vitamins, they need to be made water-soluble. So the minerals enter in a colloidal suspension. That's in a liquid, a water suspension, and then they're dissolved. And then they chelate them. The enzymes help with the chelation process, where they're bound to an amino acid or to a fatty acid, and then that's what it's needed then for absorption. So breaking these nutrients down into their simplest form is the responsibility of the digestive tract. So the stomach's been considered the seat of disease and death by a lot of traditional healers. It's amazing to me over the years, the people I've had come to me that say, I was diagnosed that my digestive system doesn't function at all. My stomach no longer functions. It's like your stomach can't not no longer function. If it no longer functions, you'd be dead. You'd be hooked up on an IV to direct IV, carrying it into the bloodstream. So Hippocrates thought that all disease started with the stomach. Another healer, Samuel Thompson, he thought that the stomach is the place where the flow of all life energy begins, and that clearing the stomach automatically helps alleviate disease. So that right there with clearing. It's good to do little fasts every once in a while. Give the digestive tract a rest, so to speak, from all the food that's being put into it. Considering we process a half a pound of food, half a million pounds, 500,000 pounds of food through the average digestive tract in a year. Give it a break every once in a while, a couple of days of some fasting. It's likely that everybody with any kind of a chronic disease, whether it be candida, and fungus can be at the base of a lot of nameable diseases out there, and candida is that's just needs to occur naturally. So we cannot completely, totally alleviate candida. We cannot remove that completely from the digestive tract. It has to be there. And this is why throughout different periods of your life you can deal with yeast infections, and that's that candida overgrowth. And holidays and too much sugar going on, that can get the candida growing and out of balance again. So and any antibiotics that you have to take, it's always good to try to get that all back into balance with some good probiotics. So So back to, anybody who has ever been affected by a chronic disease, they have digestive problems. You've got to go back to the beginning. And that's what's so cool about alternative healing, with holistic healing. It's getting to the root of the problem. Where is the cause coming from? And I've always told people over the years, when I would teach classes, is that, if somebody comes to you and they really can't afford very many things, it's best to work with their digestion and their elimination. So by helping them to digest their food better, pull the nutrients from the food, take care of any type of bowel conditions that they would have, so that the bowel is cleansed and moving, and good absorption of nutrients can take place in the small intestine, and that culturing of that good bacteria for the health of the immune system. So, other chronic diseases, hypoglycemia, a lot of times people are hypoglycemic for years before it finally turns into diabetes, adult onset diabetes. A lot of PMS problems can come from a lack of poor digestion, because if you're not digesting properly, you're not getting the nutrients and everything that are needed for the cells in the body, for the hormones to function properly, for everything to be fed. So migraine headaches can come from digestive problems. It's not uncommon to have a bad stomach ache and get a headache. So you can see how the correlation of that, it's there. It's chronic fatigue. Of course you're going to have chronic fatigue. If you're not pulling your nutrients out of your food, and the nutrients aren't getting to the cells, you're going to have extreme fatigue. Inflammations, the arthritises. Remember, I've told you before that anything that ends in itis is an inflammation. And that's why that curcumin works real well on taking care of that. Cancers, autoimmune disorders, any problems with the digestive tract is, an indicator that you need to go back to the center of the body where everything starts. And that's in the breaking down of the food, and that's the stomach. So you want to go back to taking care of always anybody who is chronically ill that I've worked with over the years. Digestive enzymes are always the first thing that you have to cover. So when we ingest food, it's held initially in the upper portion of the stomach. And this gives the digestive enzymes from the saliva and any enzymes naturally present in the food a chance to do some of the pre-digestion. So that takes place in the upper part of the stomach. And then this is one of the major reasons why raw foods digest better than cooked foods. The enzymes present in the raw food can do as much as 30 to 60% of the digestion before the stomach even begins to work on it. So that's the benefit of raw food and juicing. In the lower portion of the stomach, the food is mixed with the hydrochloric acid and with pepsin. And there's also renin that is present and produced. It's produced by the stomach, and it breaks down the proteins in milk. Acid and enzyme secretions are controlled by nerves that trigger the smell or the taste of food. Hydrochloric acid causes cells of the food that you eat to swell and burst. And together with the pepsin, this acid breaks down long chains of proteins into smaller fragments called protease, peptones, and polypeptides. Acid also causes minerals like calcium and iron to break down into smaller particles and form a colloidal suspension so that it's easier to absorb those minerals. It's the first essential